Well, here's where we left off last time with our drop leaf table build. We've got the main body done and left an opening for a drawer. We've got the tabletop done as well as the drop leaves. We've also got the drop leaf supports done. Now let's work on the legs. Using some of the same red oak we used earlier, I've got my table saw blade set at a 45-degree angle and I'm ripping some blanks for the legs. I'm doing it at 45 degrees so that we can miter the outside edge of the leg together like this. Then for the back of the leg, we'll fill it in with a square piece. Let's glue them up. Now I'm going to cut them to length, cutting the square piece a little bit longer. This will overlap the body of the table. Now running them through my table saw, I'm making sure that everything is even on all sides. And to get things smooth, we're going to put them through the planer a few times. Now it's time to attach them to the body of the table. We're going to glue and screw these on to make sure they're really strong. Here I've mitered and cut some boards to length to finish boxing out our drawer opening. I'm using some glue and some brads to hold them in place. No matter how well you do your miters, you're always going to have little gaps where the 45s meet, just like these. Well, here's a trick to close those gaps up and make them look good. I just take a round screwdriver with a smooth shaft and I rub it down that miter. Here's a close-up view. You can see how it curls the wood over and closes it right up. And after a little sanding, it's perfect and it looks like one solid piece of wood. To make our drawer box, I'm just using primed fir. I'm ripping the sides down to length here. After I get the sides ripped to length, I lowered the table saw blade and adjusted the fence, and I'm running it through, making a groove for the bottom of the drawer to fit in. I'll run it through and then I'll tap the fence over ever so slightly and run it through again until I get my groove the perfect width to accept the drawer bottom. Now that that's done, it's time to cut them to length. You could have at least arranged them in some kind of order. Thank you. Now we're cutting the bottom of our drawer out of a piece of Luan plywood. We're going to assemble our drawer box using glue and some brad nails. We're just using butt joints on this. To make it really strong, you would do a box joint or a dovetail joint, but there's not going to be a lot of pressure on this drawer. It's so small it won't hold a lot, and Miss Tinker isn't that strong. I'm sliding the bottom in, but I'm not going to glue the bottom. You never want to glue your drawer bottoms because you've got a cross grain situation, and the drawer bottom's going to move, swell and contract with temperature changes, and you don't ever want it to be fixed in place because it'll bust your drawer open. Now checking it for square, you measure both diagonals, and when they equal, you're good. Let's mount our drawer slides. I decided on European style drawer slide mounts that mount on the side. And this is the corresponding drawer slide that fits on the side of the drawer itself. It was right after I got these on and tried to insert the drawer into the table that I realized I'd screwed up pretty bad. You see, in a European style drawer slide, there's a roller on both the piece that fits on the drawer and the piece that fits inside of the drawer opening. And so in order to insert the drawer, you have to be able to lift it up high enough that the roller on the drawer goes over top of the roller inside the table. And to do that, your drawer can't be the same height as the opening of your table. Mine was. So here I'm having to cut it down, but instead of cutting the whole thing down, I'm just notching the back side of it. Well, then it turns out I needed to take a little more off, so here I am taking some more off. And finally, after notching it and making it shorter, I'm able to lift it up enough to get it over the roller, and then it fits in place. Now we're taking some red oak and we're going to cut a piece to make the front of our drawer. Now I've put the round over bit in the router, and we're just going to ease the edge of the front of the drawer. We need to attach the drawer front to the drawer now. So using a scrap piece of wood, I'm spacing it down off the bottom of the tabletop. And then with some clamps, I'm going to temporarily hold it in place, making sure that everything is centered on the drawer box. Now I'm going to mark where I need to put the drawer pull. That looks about right. Using the appropriate size bit, I'm going to drill a hole through the drawer front and through the drawer box at the same time. And there's the hole. Using the machine screw that came with the drawer knob, I'm inserting it through the drawer into the drawer face and then putting the knob on. This will temporarily hold the drawer front on while we get everything lined up and get ready to permanently affix it. We're just going to use a couple of brads to do that. Since we're going to paint it, we'll just use spackle to fill the nail holes. We're adding some casters to the bottom of the table, and because our legs are already at the correct height, we need to cut off the amount that the casters is going to add so that the overall height doesn't change. I'm using a straight edge to trim the legs. And now when I add the casters on, that adds the height right back to it that we just trimmed off. And it's the correct height overall. As you saw earlier, this video is sponsored by my good friends Pam and Steve Devers, owners of Unexpected Treasures here in Clarksville, Tennessee. Their store down on Riverside Drive is part thrift store, part antique store, part vintage store. It really lives up to its name of Unexpected Treasures. Every time Mrs. Tinkerer and I go in there, we come away with something, usually a piece of furniture or housewares. You really need to check out the store. They're also the official merchant of Fusion Mineral Paints here in town. They donated some of this paint to me to paint this project. This is the first time I've ever used mineral paint or fusion paint, but it won't be the last time. I was skeptical at first that the 16-ounce jar would be enough to coat this table, but I ended up putting 2 coats on the table, and I still have half a jar left. For those that can do math, that only took 1 cup of paint to put 2 coats on this table. I really appreciated how well this stuff flows and how good it covers. And it's really strong once it's dry. It's hard to even scratch it. I will definitely use this again, and I'm not just saying that. This is really good paint. And this comes in a bunch of different colors, and Unexpected Treasures carries most of them, so I will definitely be using this again. Well, here we have the finished product. Turned out pretty nice. Mrs. Tinkerer is demonstrating how you set it up. With both leaves out, you have lots of work surface. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as Mrs. Tinkerer enjoys using her new drop leaf side table. And I hope you'll check out my friends down at Unexpected Treasures on Riverside Drive in Clarksville, Tennessee. And when you're in there, tell them the Tennessee Tinkerer said hi. And as always, thanks for watching.